Good morning, Go Nation. That car guy Eddie here, and welcome to another video. Today is, what the heck is today? Today is February something. Valentine's Day is coming up. If you guys don't know, go get your wife or your spouse or your girlfriend or your wife and your girlfriend or whatever you want to do. Go get them some gifts because Valentine's Day is coming, and you don't want to wait until the end of the time frame to go get it. So, FYI, you may want to get that knocked out right now. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is actually about something that I get a lot of questions and comments on my channel, mainly because, Eddie, how do you swap cars so much? It's a very common question, and I want to try to, explain how I do it and explain negative equity and explain positive equity and try to give you guys some information. Now, when I give you guys information on this, here's what I don't want you to do, and you know when you show somebody something one time, all of a sudden they think they're like really good at it and they can go do it, and they're going to get like this phenomenal idea and stuff, and they're just going to be some master at it. Wrong. It's going to take you a while to really understand how this concept works, to do it so that you don't get ripped off, because at the end of the day, the concept, why it may seem easy and not hard to kind of master, it really is. And car dealerships are in the world to make money. So if you aren't willing to step up to the table to take some risk yourself and let the car dealership take some risk, you are going to be in an area where you will end up getting screwed, and you'll be in a car that you hate and crazy upside down. You'll never be able to get out from underneath it. And so there's several things that you have to do to protect yourself against that, and that's where this video goes. So first, let me start off by saying, I've been driving for almost 20 years. That's insane to me. That's just crazy. But yeah, I've been driving for almost 20 years, and in those 20 years, I personally have owned almost 70 vehicles in 20 years. Now, not all of them had been financed. I started driving in 2001, maybe 2000 or 2001, and my first car was not a brand new car. I did not finance it, but in 2005 that all changed. I was tired of driving beat up used cars that had used car problems that just, and my argument to that was, well, I don't have a payment. Well, that's cool, but the problem is I was blowing my money on other stuff, and when my vehicles broke down, I couldn't afford to fix it, or I was too worried about putting a body kit on my car. For those of you watching this that don't know what a body kit is, go Google it. I feel old. You can go ahead, Honda. Anyways, that's always the argument. Well, I was afraid to drive my car 200 miles, and that is something, and, at the time I really wasn't driving a lot, and it was just me, so if my car broke down, it was like, no big deal, I'll fix it and we'll go from there. Well, in 2005, that all changed. It was my buddy Corey. My buddy Corey and I, when we were younger, we both had Neons, actually Dodge Neons, and his looked cool but was slow until he made it an actual legit race car like 5 years later. And mine looked like shit, but it was super fucking fast. So it was great because we were like the polar opposite of each other. And Corey and I kind of looked alike. In fact, Corey and I drove the same car, and because of that, people frequently got me confused for this guy all the time when I was younger. Are you Corey? And I was like, no, his Neon has vertical doors, and mine will smoke your 5.0. So there's very, 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 very much difference there. But kudos to Corey though. He legitimately had that car for a long time. And even after he financed his SRT4, he still built it into a race car. So, like I said, kudos to Corey. So anyways, in 2005, I bought my first new car, and it was a 2005 Dodge Neon SRT4. It had 100 miles on it when I got it, and it was bright orange, and I went through the vehicle finance process, and I didn't know anything about how any of that worked. What I mean by that is I wasn't aware of APR and stuff. I was just like, look, I want this car and I can make the payments work, so let's make it work. And I got my first new car, and it was great. It was super reliable. The heater worked, the air conditioner worked, cruise control worked. And what did I do? I started modifying it like an idiot. I was modifying my $20,000 car like it was a $5,000 car. And, that's not bad if you're doing the correct mods. The problem is I was putting mods that I would put on a $3,000 car on a $20,000 car. So it was my bad. It was me not knowing, trying to read, the internet was in its infancy. So I was trying to, build this car the way that I wanted to do it without any real knowledge, and at the time, there was a website, NorCalSRT4.com, that, was kind of like this little group. The car was new, so there wasn't like a whole lot of parts for it. I ended up getting sponsored, which is really cool. Shout out to Weaponar in San Francisco. I got a lot of cool stuff from them, and it was cool to legitimately be sponsored, like legit actual parts on my car. And I think that's when I took my car owning and car modification to the next level. You see, prior to that, I had always been more of like, boy racer, do it on the cheap type thing and get it done. And I started racing my car at the track and really getting larger into the car scene. And I think having that car made, me what I more am today, because it gave me camaraderie. It gave me other people that really liked the type of car that I had, and I liked the car that they had, and it was great. But I bought my first car, and then it was all downhill from there. Gosh, what did I get after I should do a whole list on all the cars that I've had. Gosh, I can't even remember what the heck I traded it in for. Oh, I traded it in for a Tahoe. Funny story there. But anyways, so like I said, you trade it in. Now, when you trade in a car, and this is where kind of the meat and potatoes of it comes. Okay, if you're financing a car, you have to look at what Blue Book is on the car that you're financing. Okay, so what I mean by that, let's use whole numbers just to make it easy. So if you have a car that you financed and the car is worth $25,000, new or used, okay? Like I said, this is new or used, it doesn't matter. You want to try to buy the car for less than market value, okay? That's KBB. Kelley Blue Book, you can use NADA, which is NADA, NADA Guides. You can use that too, but you want to try to buy the car for less. The reason why is because the moment you drive off the lot, the car is worth significantly less than what you paid for it. And, I'm sure that you've probably heard that before. The lower you can pay below what the actual, KBB or MSRP is on the car, the better. That's only for new cars. And the reason why this is important is because a bank will finance up to the amount of value of a car. Now, if you have good credit, banks will actually advance you more. They'll finance you 100%, 110%, 115%, 120%, 130%, 140%, 150% of the value of your car. Now, why is that important? And why would you want to take out a loan that is 130% of what your car is actually worth? And the reason why is because you want to hide negative equity from another vehicle. So let's use the SRT4. Now, I can't remember values and all that type of stuff. I mean, literally, that was, 15 years ago now. So I can't, and I've done so many car deals. But basically, let's say I owe $20,000 on the car, and they gave me $15,000 for it. Well, if you want to buy a new car, you have $5,000 remaining from that loan on that Dodge Neon. So what do you do with that? Well, your first option is you can put $5,000 down, which nobody does. The second option is you can stack that $5,000 on top of your new car loan. The problem with it is that if you buy a car for MSRP or you buy a car for what the car is worth, the bank they already want to stack tax and license on top of the MSRP, so the bank isn't going to want to finance you that $5,000. So what you have to do, and this is the trick, you have to find a car that is a leftover from a year before that the dealer has discounted,
or that the manufacturer has discounted below MSRP. The reason why this is important is because if you buy a new car, for instance, let's say you go out and you buy
a brand new Volkswagen Golf R, okay, and the MSRP is $30,000, but you buy it for 25 grand
because you get a smoking deal on it. You can take that remaining $5,000 that you have, you can bury it within that new loan, and you end up paying MSRP on the car, and your old car goes away, you get your new car, and
everything's happy. Everything's happy,
right? Now, if the story ended there, and that was the end of it,
everybody would go do this. Everybody would know how to do it. And it's cute when people
assume that they know how to do this because they may have watched me do it one time or something like that, because this is how you will get completely screwed if you're not careful. If the car you buy, okay, the reason a car dealer discounts
the car so much is because it's a leftover. What a leftover is it's something that is sat on the lot. So for instance, in the case of my Volkswagen Atlas, I bought my Volkswagen Atlas in January of 2020, and
the vehicle is a 2019. This vehicle was probably built late 2018, and it has sat around on their lot
not being purchased.
Now, every car that sits on the lot at a dealer every day costs that dealership money. Every single day. Because
the dealer has to buy it from the car manufacturer. And when they buy it from a car manufacturer, they're not paying cash. There's loans involved, there's interest, there's APR. So every day that a vehicle sits on a new lot, it costs them money. Okay?
Plus, that's not to mention,
let's say the car gets damaged. Dealership's
got to fix it. Let's say the car gets a bunch of
test miles put on it. They're not going to be able to sell it for as much. I mean, would you buy a car that has 500 test drive miles on it? Hell no. People drive test drive cars insane. I would never, ever do that.
Ever. It's just a very dangerous thing, and you don't want to do it. What else? So, like I said, it costs them money. So what they want to do is they want to get rid of it. Plus, if I buy my car in 2020 and it's a 2019, pretty soon they are going to have 2021s on their lot, even though it's only February of 2020.
And I'll be shocked if they don't have 2021s on their lot right now. And if you're a new buyer and you don't care and you go in and you want the latest and greatest, buying a 2021, why would you buy a 2019 when you can buy a 2021, right? So now you're starting to kind of understand the idea behind the car business and how it works and why they discount cars. Well, if they discount a car, MSRP may still be, let's say, 30 grand, and you hid that. The problem is the 2019 depreciates more once you drive it off the lot than the 2021. It's not a large percentage, but every year that a car model gets newer, especially if the design changes, the depreciation will be more. It's a higher percentage. So regardless of the cost, okay, we're not talking whole numbers, we're talking percent of numbers here. So, like I said, keep in mind that that is something that you want to be aware of. Also, if you buy a car with crappy resale value, okay, do your homework on the cars first. If you buy a car that has horrible resale value and you want to try to trade this car in later, you will be so upside down on your car, it will not be good. So I'm going to give you some advice. Stay far away from Chevy. Unless it's a Corvette or even a Camaro, and even those are kind of shaky. You want to stay away from those. You want to stay away from some Dodge products, like they don't even make it anymore, but you want to stay away from cars like the Journey, the Chrysler 200. I made a mistake there when I had a 200. And like I said, you want to stay away from cars that have increasingly bad resale value. Okay, Eddie, so how do I do this? What you want to do is you want to take the car, and now remember, it's going to be a year old or so it's going to be in Kelley Blue Book, and you're going to want to see what the trade-in value of the car is. If you're buying a car for $30,000 and you look on the Kelley Blue Book trade-in value, and the trade-in value on excellent condition with 1,000 miles on it is 15 grand.
you are getting a very bad deal, and you will be very upside down in your car, and you will be very stuck, and it's not something that you're going to want to do. I have a family member actually that bought this person had a Volkswagen GTI, fun, great little car, and this person was positive, which means they had owned the car long enough so that they had no negative on the car. It was worth what it was worth back to the bank, and went to go do a car deal, wanted to do something better, ended up with a Chevy Blazer, leased it, ended up, gonna end up paying 40 grand for this Blazer that at the end of the day, you have to give back. That sucks. And that's a trap that people fall into if you don't pay enough attention to when you're trading in vehicles. But if you do it right, you can trade in your vehicles all the time. You buy cars with high resale value, you buy cars that are in high demand, you buy cars that look good, or you buy cars that are functional. You want to look at yourself like a marketing person as far as, when I buy this, what is my opportunity of selling it? That is, unless you're a person that, keeps your car and you want to pay your car off over a long period of time, which is fine too. Like I said, if you want to pay your car off and do that, that's more power to you. I will tell you though, one question a lot of people ask me is, they go, Eddie, when you're stacking and rolling over negative equity, how are your payments not just huge? Well, there's a trick to that, and the trick to that is looking at total amount financed. The reason why this is important is because a car loan, is total amount financed divided by number of months equals car payment times APR, okay? And if you lower your total amount financed, you do a couple of things. You raise your credit score by trading in a car. You raise your credit score. It shows a payoff. It shows the purchase of a new vehicle. You raise your credit score, and you lower your total amount financed. Isn't that amazing? You can also lower your payment. How do you do this? If your total amount financed is less than what you have on your current vehicle, your payment goes down. Okay? When I traded in my Gladiator for my Atlas, my total amount financed went down. My payment went down substantially. Not a little, substantially. So, like I said, it's all about doing it right and, really making sure that what you're getting into is a deal, and taking your time. I will also tell you that you will not be able to pick your vehicle, okay? If this is to work, it will not work on any vehicle, so you can't just be like, I want a blue Honda. You will have a tough time finding your blue car because you have to work with what the dealer has left over. The good news is that many times the dealers have leftover cars that are actually pretty cool, and they're probably pretty loaded, and they're probably overpriced to begin with. So if you're a bells and whistles person and you like having things like, auto start and heated and cooled seats and auto headlights and things like that, it's not a bad place to be. If you guys have questions on how to do this, drop a comment below. What's the craziest thing you've ever traded in, and I will be happy to respond back to you guys individually. If you guys have a car deal you want me to look at, drop me an email. My email address is Honda, the number 1, K as in kite, RR@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to help you guys. Anyways, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.